Okay, so let's just get started on the presentation. Um, right. I hope this is visible. Perfect. All right, everyone. Welcome to the presentation of the CodeBasics Resume Challenge project number 3. Um, Today we are going to talk about the impact of the 5G on the consumer market. And I am your presenter, Hardik Seju. Let's get started on the topics. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about the problem statement, what the company is facing, issues with, and then we'll discuss the approach that we had taken to perform the data analysis and get the insights. We'll discuss the results at the end and provide some recommendations as well. So, Etlico launched the 5G plans in various cities of India in the month of May, along with other competitors as well, right? But what happened is that management notices some negative performances, like in terms of revenue and number of active users. These metrics dropped after the launch of the 5G, and so now what they are keen to know is the overall performance, and to get some more details into this, and see the difference between the post and the prior 5G launch periods, right? And so that they can make some informed decisions out of this. First of all, the data provided to us by the Etlico company was very clean, and it was organized, so there was no time to be spent on the data cleaning process. So right from the start, we got into the data modeling. Then we had to create some measures that will define the key performance indicators of the company's performance. And then at the end, we did some data visualizations and got the insights. So here you can see the data model, and on the right side you can also see the key measures that were created to get the performance metrics. Right, so let's discuss the results overview. Now, right off the bat, we saw some revenue drop, and nearly approximately 0.5% of the revenue drop after the 5G launch. We also saw that the number of active users dropped by 8.3%, and the market share also went down by 1.4%. Now, it is very important to retain the customers, and from the churn rate, we found that the churn rate was averaging above 8% after the launch of 5G. So here we can see that clearly the churn rate is increasing from January, and it keeps on increasing, and then it stabilizes after the 5G launch, which is kind of very crucial to know, because okay, so let's just get started on the presentation. um, right. I hope this is visible. Perfect. All right, everyone. Welcome to the presentation of the CodeBasics Resume Challenge project number 3. Today we are going to talk about the impact of the 5G on the consumer market, and I am your presenter, Hardik Seju. Let's get started on the topics. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about the problem statement, what the company is facing, issues with, and then we'll discuss the approach that we had taken to perform the data analysis and get the insights. We'll discuss the results at the end and provide some recommendations as well. So, Etlico launched the 5G plans in various cities of India in the month of May, along with other competitors as well, right? But what happened is that management notices some negative performances, like in terms of revenue and number of active users. These metrics dropped after the launch of the 5G, and so now what they are keen to know is the overall performance, and to get some more details into this, and see the difference between the post and the prior 5G launch periods, right? And so that they can make some informed decisions out of this. Many cities are affected by this. Then we also saw a rise in unsubscribers, and that rose by 24% nearly. So that's a huge leap in the number of unsubscribers we can see. Let's talk a little bit about the user base here. What you are seeing here is the three different graphs, and the first one is about the active users, and active users in lakhs, number of unsubscribed users in lakhs, and the second one is about the overall revenue compared with the planned revenue, and the third one is about the average revenue per person per month, right? And this plots have been plotted against the months. What we found was that the average revenue per person was increased by 21 rupees after the launch of 5G. And then you can see the maximum average revenue per person is 217 rupees in the month of June, and this is average of all the days for that month. And but the other thing that we discovered was that despite a decline of 20% active users, now when we come to the active users on the first chart, you can see that there was a decline from April to June. We had a decline of 20% users in number of active customers. So despite this decline, we saw a 22% rise in the plan revenue. So we are seeing this decline from April to June, but at the same time in April to June, we are seeing this increase in the plan revenue. So there is kind of an adverse correlation here, as we can see. Now this could mean that the plans are doing good, but there is some effect of on the customers about the 5G or the idea of 5G. It may happen that some customers might not even have the appropriate devices that support the 5G plans, right? So it may be the case that this drop in the active users, so these active users just became inactive in certain cases, and those ones which were active or who were subscribed and using the services, they paid much higher for the plans, and the plan revenue was much higher than during this period. So the third thing that we saw was that 40.93 lakh users became inactive through May and June, and there was like an overall revenue dropped between April to June, so we can see that as well. Let's move on to the market share. On the left hand side, you can see the market share graph, and the green line is for the Telco company, and the others are competitors. Now if you look closely between the red line and the green line, you can see that these are the trends that are quite opposite to each other. It is creating like a funnel or tunnel effect. So it can be said that when there was increase or decrease in the number of active users or unsubscribers from the Atlic company, maybe these customers went to the Brittle, which is a competitor here. So whenever there was decline, that amount of customers went to Brittle and they were subscribed to Brittle. And similarly, we can see whenever there was decline in the Brittle market share, those customers came to the Atlico company. So they do show some opposite trends here, and Brittle could be seen as one of the most closest competitors to the Atlico. PIO is kind of showing a different trend as compared to any other competitors, and it is still topping the market share amongst all. So let's talk about the plan revenue now. In total, there were 13 plans, but it appears that before 5G, there were plans P8, 9, and 10, which were discontinued, probably discontinued, or it is assumed that they were discontinued because they were not generating much revenue compared to the other plans from P1 to P7. And then on the second hand, I think the new plans were added, P11, 12, and 13, after the 5G launch, which did extremely well. And these three plans are the reason that the Atlic company saw a revenue increase after the month of July. And and if we talk about plans 5, 6, and 7, these are performing quite poorly compared to the post 5G, compared to the pre 5G period. As you can see here, that the biggest drop is for the P7 plan in terms of the revenue. Now let's look closely towards the cities and how they are performing in terms of the revenue, active users, and subscribers. So right here we can see that Lucknow is the city which is indicating a rise in the revenue after 5G. Um, it is also indicating a rise in the active users after 5G, and even there is a biggest rise in the unsubscribers after 5G. Overall, it is the only city which is performing well in terms of the revenue after 5G launch. Then we see that Pune is the only city which is having highest increase in the number of active users after 5G. And then Mumbai was the only city which didn't see a rise but actually saw a decline in the number of unsubscribers. Let's fall on to the recommendations. So as we saw that inactive users add to the cost of the company. So if there are inactive users, it is good for the company to terminate those accounts so that they don't have to spend time or money on the maintenance of these accounts or put them in the database. So that can be done, that even with the marketing they don't have to even spend time on that. Next thing is to focus on the customer retention, especially in cities like Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Pune. Because we saw that, if I go back a little bit, we saw that Delhi is having the biggest drop in terms of the revenue after 5G. And there was a great amount of inactive active subscribers that went down, or active users that went down. There could be a possibility that there are inactive users as well, but in terms of Delhi that is not the case. People just do not choose to stay with the company in Delhi. Mumbai is a special case. Mumbai has inactive subscribers in a large amount. They do not want to unsubscribe with the company. Probably these are the users that they want to keep looking if the 5G plans are going well or not. So within a period of 1 or 2 months they might get back to the same company and become an active user. So as I said again, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune are those cities where the customer retention would be very important. A churn report could be generated for these cities, and excellent service could be provided, and flexible plans should be provided to these cities as well, to make sure that these customers are staying with the telecom provider. Nextly, we see that the customer prefer to have high validity as well as per day data usage plans rather than a bundle of data pack. Amongst the 13 plans, out of which 3 were discontinued, it is assumed to be discontinued, and the other 3 were added. So out of these, for the plans 5, 6, 7, it was observed that if you are having a high validity plan which is going above a month, or at least above a month of validity, and if you are providing a data pack which is based on per day usage and not actually a whole bundle pack, then the users are more likely to purchase that plan or go with that plan. So as according to that, plan P1 is the most revenue generated plan, and apart from that, P6 and P5, 6, 7 are kind of those plans which can be worked upon, and the revenue can also be the strategies can be made to have these revenues going higher. And on the other hand, a separate plan could be created so that the people or the customers who prefer to have day-to-day usage, as in terms of the validity, Also, in terms of the data bundle pack, they can prefer to have this sort of small plans. So a one plan could be created to cater all this low validity and small bundle pack users. Now let's talk about the plan revenue. As we saw earlier into the charts, that plan revenue is still doing better than the overall revenue. Now there are certain reasons behind it. For example, the operating cost of 5G connections might be higher. Installations might be higher. For example, towers and other facilities that will require electricity or any other sources that enable the 5G connection more reliable, right? And then once that is done, there is also a need of maintaining these services. So you are putting out those set of devices, you are putting out those fibers out there, and for every home who is trying to have this 5G connection. So all this is adding up to the cost to the company. Now, because of this, there might be it was possible that during the first 2 months, because there might be many customer complaints, there might be issues with the services or maintenance, that the operating cost was very higher and the total revenue could not be much higher than that, right? So the revenue was lower during those periods. So the plan revenue is still doing better after 5G. So the plans are doing good in general. Now, one recommendation would be to find new ways to advertise and promote 5G to compete in the market share with the competitors. Britel is the closest competitor, as we saw earlier into the charts, and Atlico should consider to build strategies accordingly. In order to tackle this market, it's important that the company focuses on the right advertisement and focuses on to reach the right customers that are very highly likely to join the organization as a subscriber. And also, it's very important to focus on the customer retention, the people who are on the verge of leaving the company or leaving the subscriber services. Those are the customers that need to be focused on. It's the right promotion and advertisement that will go far beyond to gain more market share than the Britel currently. So that's all. If you have any questions, please do write in the comments. That's the presentation ending. And I feel very excited to be a part of this CodeBasics Resume Challenge number 3. I think I have spent a considerable amount of time, and at last, let's go to the dashboard that was created for the purpose. Okay. So all right, so here you can see the whole dashboard, and the key performance metrics or indicators are right at the top. Then we have unsubscribers and the churn rate. So we can see different churn rate through the months and also through the cities as well. We can change the post and pre 5G launch periods. So we'll click on this. Let's see some monthly trend here. What's with the monthly trend? So these 3 bottom charts were included in the presentation. It's about the active users and unsubscribers, overall revenue and planned revenue, and then the average revenue per person. This table is really important. I think it gives the difference through each month, the high and the low values of the differences between each month for the number of unsubscribers, active users, and average revenue per person. Now we can see that the monthly unsubscriber change. So if it is a negative, which means that these many subscribers went down, which is good, and the red one indicates a potential danger and a loss of subscribers. And in terms of monthly active users, you can see there was a huge increase in the month of February, and then huge increase in the month of July in terms of the active users, and the biggest drop was seen in the month of June, and that accounts for the two months after April, May and June. And this is another metric, or you can say a calculated column, which indicates the new inactive users. So which is basically indicating that in June we got like 40.93 lakhs inactive users, because during that same period we had only zero point zero 0.09 lakhs of unsubscribers that actually left the company or the service, but the rest of them actually stayed with the company till maybe if they plan to go back with the company and get active, or get unsubscribed. But during that month we had the highest amount of inactive users, and I think most of the inactive users were accounted from the city of Mumbai. So let's get to the insights by city. So here we have plan revenue before and after 5G. As you can see here that plans P11, 12 and 13 are doing much better. Plan P1 is like the most revenue generating plan, and after 5G, people kind of are moving towards to getting the use of plan P1, and I think they are loving it. But apart from that, P8, P9 and P10 are the most unused plans, and they are probably discontinued after the after the 5G launch. It's very easy to see that in the month of June the market share is completely down for the Atlico company, and again the market share is completely down or least during this whole year in the month of September. So probably they need to focus on how to get back into that market again, and focus on the strategies involving to increase the revenue based on different plans. And then we see the churn rate by different cities. As you can see here that Delhi is having the highest churn rate, and when we talk about churn rate, it is the customers that are leaving the company. So at the start of the month there would be a certain number of customers, and then at the end of the end of the month there would be certain number of customers. So this churn rate will indicate that at the end of the month almost 7.8% of the customers just unsubscribed the service from the Atlico. So Delhi is having the highest churn rate. Then we see Chennai is having the highest churn rate as well. What Atlico can do is focus on major cities, and especially the cities in the middle. These are also providing very good revenue. They're also having good market share. So starting from Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Ahmedabad, and Jaipur and Lucknow, these cities can be taken care of in terms of the market value. Then we have is the changes in the metrics after the 5G city. So basically this chart displays the change after the 5G. So what was the revenue change for each city after 5G, active users after 5G, and unsubscribers after 5G. So that's all from my side, and I really enjoyed this project. I got to learn more about new skills, and even more DEX formulas. And one more important thing is to how to use different metrics, or two different columns to gain or just generate a whole new metric out of it. Like for example, churn rate. It was not provided, but using the number of active users and subscribers, we can kind of averagely say that the churn rate is this much. So that is one thing, and yeah, I really enjoyed this project. I hope to participate in the coming project as well. If you have any suggestions that you would like to put out, and something that you find is good or bad about this presentation or the dashboard, please do comment in the comment below, and I would be happy to just know your thoughts. Thank you, everyone.